As I said at the top, this episode we're talking school funding. And up first, we're going to explore the K-3 class size mandate, an issue we've discussed before, but it's a big one and it's still in search of a resolution. And we have two guests who are going to help us understand what this is all about. We have Katherine Joyce. Katherine is the Executive Director of the North Carolina Association of School Administrators, so she's been working on this issue. And then we have Dr. Tim Markley. Dr. Markley is the Superintendent of New Hanover County Schools. Thank you both for being here. All right, I'm going to start with you, Katherine, because I know you've been spending some time at the General Assembly talking about this issue. So in a nutshell, why are we talking about it? So what is the issue that you're trying to address, and what is the impact of the new class size mandates, the hard caps that were put in the budget last year?
A law change that was included in the 2016 state budget is going to require our school districts, starting in the 2017-18 school year, to set up their kindergarten, first, second, and third grade classrooms at a set number, then allowing those districts to set up classrooms with previous exceptions that allowed them to exceed set numbers.
So there were averages that school districts had to meet, average across a kindergarten, first grade, second grade, but this actually sets a hard cap per classroom. Is that right?
Absolutely. So in kindergarten, our districts will have to set up those classrooms with 18 students rather than having a district average of 21 students.
Okay.
And so what that's doing is forcing our districts to spend more of their classroom teacher dollars in grades K through 3. That, in effect, is going to squeeze out teachers that are funded with that same funding stream. That includes some of our art, music, and PE teachers, as well as forcing larger classes in our grades 4 through 12.
So that's why so that's really why we're talking about arts and PE and music teachers a lot right now, is because they're the ones that, to meet the requirement, are where we would expect. Now, I'm going to ask you, Dr. Markley, this is, I mean, you're obviously looking at it. So why, I mean, this came up last year. I mean, this was passed in the budget in the summer of 2016. Why is it so hot right now? I mean, why is this such a big deal?
Well, it's a couple of reasons. We saw the legislation coming last year. We saw where the House passed a solution unanimously. So we were hoping that by the time we got to our budget season, the Senate would have concurred and made a fix. But we're going to be starting, in fact, I'm heading back today after this to start budget preparation with my school board and have to talk about this. This is potentially, in my district, 48 teachers that I'll have to convert to kindergarten, first or second grade teachers. And those will come primarily from art, music, PE, and AIG in our district.
All right, so that's 48 in New Hanover County you're looking at. Now, I think we've got some numbers we're going to pull up on the screen. Katherine, your folks have been looking at the numbers to make an estimate about what kind of impact this is going to have statewide. I mean, if it's a hard cap, something's got to give, right? So what are you looking at overall?
Correct. So what we're looking at statewide, we think this is in the range of 5,500 teachers statewide that our school districts may have to begin sending notices to in the next few weeks that they're not going to be able to retain them for next school year. So those are art, music, and PE teachers, as well as teachers in other grades.
Right. Now, Tim mentioned that the House passed, I mean, it's not a complete fix. I think it actually will still have an impact on head count as far as meeting the requirement, but passed it 114 to nothing. I mean, that's pretty rare in the House to see something like that. I think it'd be hard to get a unanimous vote to, honor Mother Teresa or something. But yet the Senate seems to be less interested in moving on it. Why?
Well, I think our Senate is trying to be very deliberative in looking at how districts have been spending their funding for classroom teachers. Have they been lowering class sizes in those early grades as they have requested when additional funding has been put into classroom teachers in the last few years? They, in fact, asked our organization to conduct a survey of districts statewide to have districts respond on how many enhancement teachers, the art, music, PE teachers they've been funding. So we've provided that information to them. We're hopeful that the information is giving them the information that they need to see there is a need for some relief provided by the General Assembly, and they can move forward in a positive way in the next few weeks to help our districts retain all the teachers that our students need in all of our grades.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, Tim, that's what, I mean, we've heard that, I've heard that too, that the General Assembly says, we gave you the money. I mean, we've already asked you to lower class sizes. We've given you, I mean, the estimate is $200 million over the last 5 years. Why haven't you been lowering class sizes, or have you been?
If you look in our district, we've been lowering class sizes. Have we lowered them to the level that the state says that they will want us at? No, but every year they've lowered class sizes, we've lowered class sizes. But you allot the teachers on a 1 to 18 basis, and then you're allowed to have an average of, as a district, 3 higher, 21. In some classes, you can go to 24. So we use that difference between the allotment and the average to fund those positions. And the state in past legislation has said we need to provide for art, music, and PE, but they don't give me a separate allotment for that. So this is the way that we make that happen in our schools.
Yeah. So in the simplest terms, again, you know, if you've got 3 classes that are overcrowded, you've got to add. So we haven't talked about yet the space needs. You've got to spread out those 3 if they're all over into, I don't know, 5 classrooms. So you need 2 more classroom spaces and 2 more teachers. Am I right?
The way the law is written now, if I'm over by 1 in a school, then I'm going to have to create an entirely different classroom. So in my district, at certain schools, it's potentially 40 classroom spaces that I have to find now for these additional classes. We went and looked at every space in some of these buildings and took out art and music rooms, took out computer labs, and we're still going to be 40 classrooms short.
Well, this is, I mean, your folks must be getting a little nervous. It's March, Katherine. I say your folks, you represent the school administrators across North Carolina. Are they preparing, like Dr. Markley said, to start letting teachers know that their jobs are probably not coming back next year?
Unfortunately, they have to prepare now. The law is on the books. They have to prepare for next school year. And there's a whole set timeline that districts have to follow in regards to notifying teachers who may not be retained next year. There's a due process timeline that has to be met. So those teachers, the 5,500 we've been talking about, they have to receive notices in the next few weeks if they are not expected to be able to be on staff next year. Right. So it's difficult.
Well, we're going to keep track of this. Oh, one last question is before we go to break. Charter schools are actually one of the faster growing segments in North Carolina. I haven't heard any mention about charter schools in this. Are they not affected?
They are not affected because charter schools have no class size mandates like our traditional public schools. All
right. Well, thank you both for being here. We're going to keep following this. I hope that it helped our viewers understand a little bit more about the impact. But when we come back, we're going bigger picture on school funding with the author of a new report about school funding. As we go to break, see if you can answer this question. What are the projected costs of the facility needs for North Carolina public schools over the next 5 years?